60 Minutes interview, McCabe admits that his attempt to undermine the president began almost immediately after his boss, Jim Comey, was fired, and it was, of course, due to Russia.
I was speaking to the man who had just run for the presidency and won the election for the presidency, and who might have done so with the aid of the government of Russia, our most formidable adversary on the world stage. And that was something that troubled me greatly.
How long was it after that that you decided to start the obstruction of justice and counterintelligence investigations involving the president?
I think the next day I met with the team investigating the Russia cases, and I asked the team to go back and conduct an assessment to determine where are we with these efforts and what steps do we need to take going forward.
Alan Dershowitz is a retired Harvard Law School professor. He's the author of the book, The Case Against the Democratic House Impeaching Trump, and he joins us tonight. Professor, thanks very much for coming on. So now the suspicions of many are confirmed by one of the players in it. The Department of Justice discussed trying to remove the president using the 25th Amendment. What's your reaction to that?
Well, if that's true, it is clearly an attempted coup d'etat. Relating to what your former guest said, let's take the worst case scenario. Let's assume the President of the United States was in bed with the Russians, committed treason, committed obstruction of justice. The 25th Amendment simply is irrelevant to that.
Right.
That's why you have an impeachment provision.
Exactly.
The 25th Amendment is about Woodrow Wilson having a stroke. It's about a president being shot and not being able to perform his office. It's not about the most fundamental disagreements. It's not about impeachable offenses. And any Justice Department official who even mentioned the 25th Amendment in the context of President Trump has committed a grievous offense against the Constitution. The framers of the 25th Amendment had in mind something very specific, right, and trying to use the 25th Amendment to circumvent the impeachment provisions or to circumvent an election is a despicable act of unconstitutional power grabbing. And you were right when you said it reminds me of what happens in third world countries. Look, these people may have been well-intentioned. They may believe that they were serving the interests of the United States, but you have to obey the law, and the law is the Constitution. And the 25th Amendment is as clear as could be. Incapacity, unable to perform office. That's what you need. That's why you need 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate agreeing. And it has to be on the basis of a medical or psychological incapacity, not on the basis of even the most extreme crimes, which there's no evidence were committed. But even if they were, that would not be a basis for invoking the 25th Amendment.
So this is not simply right.
And I challenge any left-wing person to get on television and to defend the use of the 25th Amendment. I challenge any of my colleagues who are in the Get Trump at Any Cost camp to come on television and justify the use of the 25th Amendment other than for physical or psychiatric incapacity.
I bet they're doing that right now. But this is an attack on our system, I would say, not just on the president. Alan Dershowitz, thank you very much.
It's an attack on our system. It's an attack on the Constitution. Thank you.
Scary.
Former Vice President Joe Biden is almost certain to run for president in 2020. Sources tell Fox News the timing of his announcement is still up in the air, but he's already reaching out to potential staffers and donors. But as the 2020 Democratic contenders keep growing, look at these numbers already, and the party moves to the left, has Biden missed his shot, or is he so unique it could go right to victory? Let's talk to two people that might know, certainly have opinions. He's the author of Uncensored, My Life and Uncomfortable Conversations at the Intersections of Black and White America. Zachary R. Wood is here live. And Run for America co-founder David Bernstein is here. So has Joe David missed his chance because so many are off to the left where he tends to be center-left?
Well, look, I think if Joe Biden wants to run president, he better get in soon, because he is missing it. I don't know if he's missed it already, but if he's not, he's about to do it, because this field is shaping up, and it's shaping up to be a very far left field. And if he waits any longer, he's certainly not going to have any chance. And I just don't know if he's going to be too out of step, almost a Jeb Bush problem, with the current rest of the liberal field.
You're nodding, Zach, because you also agree with David. It's gone far left.
It's gone far left. I agree that he has to decide soon. I do think, however, that if he decides to run, he's seasoned, he's charismatic, he's got the experience. experience. The question for me is, does he have a message that can appeal to young voters?
And because he might not say it's affordable to have free college. He might not say I want to kill private insurance. He might not say I think private free preschool is necessary.
Yeah, because he's a serious politician who's been around Washington for a long time. He's seen these things, he's tried to do these things, and he knows you can't just promise people pie in the sky things and hope they'll all work out.
You sound like something I would say. I want you to see the polls right now, and if you look at its recognizability, has so much to do with it a year and a half out of the box. But you have, according to the Morning Consult poll, Biden's on top by 7 over Sanders, who's also not in yet. Kamala Harris, 13, boy is she in. Elizabeth Warren has never stopped being in. Beto O'Rourke went to the border and rolled up his sleeves, so I think he might be in, but he's also thinking about the Senate. Cory Booker came in last week. Klobuchar will have a town hall shortly. Mike Bloomberg thinking about it. Sherrod Brown, I believe, is getting in. What do you read from that poll, Zach?
So, I mean, I think right now the question is going to be, who's going to bring experience to the table? Who's going to have a message that's going to appeal to young voters? Who is dynamic and not just charismatic? And who understands the need to unite us around the values we have in common, because we're deeply divided right now.
But you missed the magic one. Who can beat Trump? I think Trump loves the left-wing candidates.
Right. I think if the Democrats want to win, they should go with someone who's not as far left-wing, but it seems to be where the base is going. And if you're Biden looking at the poll, you don't want to be the front runner at this stage, because this is a wide-open field.
So here is Joe Biden, and tell me if this is a type of soundbite that will help or hurt him.
I read in the New York Times today that that one of my problems is if I ever run for president, I like Republicans. Okay, well, bless me, Father, if I have sinned. But you know, from where I come from, I don't know how you get anything done. I don't know how you get anything done until we start talking to one another again.
That sounds exactly like an analyst. And that's like the type of candidate that sober people would like because they want to be effective. But will it work in a primary?
I think it can. I think Joe Biden understands that right now we need to recognize that we're in a hyper-partisan time, right? That you have to focus on what we have in common. And I think he understands that politics is a contact sport.
Real quick, David, I don't think President Obama is for it. I mean, he met with Beto O'Rourke. He has not said anything publicly. This is a guy that he worked with for 8 years. Yeah. So what is going on there?
Look, once people get the idea in their head that they want to run for president, it never leaves. And that's clearly the case for Joe Biden. People have told him he's missed his time, and he wants to do it this time. And he may just be a touch too late. Timing is everything in politics.
Right, and he's already lost twice, and that could scare a lot of people away. Yeah. All right, guys, it's going to be an interesting time. All right, and we'll see. It's the party of AOC these days.
Moments ago, the president sounding off on Twitter as Mr. McCabe revealing new details about the investigation in the early stages into President Trump, telling 60 Minutes that he opened the probe, and he also says the Justice Department held discussions about removing the president from office under the 25th Amendment.
The president tweeting, quote, disgraced FBI acting director Andrew McCabe pretends to be a, quote, poor little angel, when in fact he was a big part of the crooked Hillary scandal and the Russia hoax. A puppet for leaking James Comey. IG report on McCabe was devastating. Part of insurance policy in case I won.
So he continued. Many of the top FBI brass were fired, forced to leave, or left. McCabe's wife received big dollars from Clinton people for her campaign. He gave Hillary a pass. McCabe is a disgrace to the FBI and a disgrace to our country. Make America great again. End of a long tweet.
Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge live in Washington, and that's the latest from the president this morning. What's the latest there? Catherine, good morning.
Well, thanks, Sandra. Good morning. Fox News first reported in October that FBI General Counsel James Baker told House investigators that McCabe said Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein was serious about recording the president and invoking the 25th Amendment. Promoting his new book, McCabe confirms those May 2017 discussions and more to CBS News. Until now, Rosenstein and those close to the Deputy Attorney General have said his comments were sarcastic, but this has been at odds with testimony from Baker under oath, and even more so now with McCabe's 60 Minutes interview. Rosenstein has resisted calls to come to Capitol Hill to clear up the conflict. McCabe also confirms what has been widely reported, that after FBI Director James Comey was fired by the president in May 2017, there were 2 investigations, one into obstruction of justice for the firing, and the other a counterintelligence case into alleged coordination between the Trump campaign and Moscow.
I was very concerned that I was able to put the Russia case on absolutely solid ground in an indelible fashion, that were I removed quickly or reassigned or fired, that the case could not be closed or vanish in the night without a trace. I wanted to make sure that our case was on solid ground.
An investigative source told Fox News McCabe was fired last March for committing 3 violations of the FBI's ethics code. They included lack of candor under oath, lack of candor not under oath, and the improper disclosure of non-public information to the media about the FBI's investigation into the Clinton Foundation. McCabe's case is now with the U.S. Attorney here in Washington, D.C. Sandra.
Catherine, what's the DOJ's response?
Well, in the last few minutes, this statement was issued by the Justice Department, and it says Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein never authorized a recording or invoking of the 25th Amendment. But on its face, that does stop short of denying that these issues were ever discussed. In recent part, the Deputy Attorney General never authorized any recording that Mr. McCabe references. As the Deputy Attorney General previously has stated, based on his personal dealings with the President, there is no basis to invoke the 25th Amendment, nor was the Deputy Attorney General or DAG in a position to consider invoking the 25th Amendment. And that will certainly not be the last we hear of this story today, Sandra.